Good morning, district team leaders. Welcome to PartyCast Season 4, Episode 12. Happy day after St. Patrick's Day weekend. Hope everybody had a shamrock-filled green weekend and had some fun along the way. So here we are. So that means we've got a postseason transition that is underway, a quick one. That happens this time, and then we've got Easter just on the horizon. We'll touch on those just briefly today. Actually, we've got a couple of other topics that we'll go a little bit deeper into. We'll do our gratitude here in just a minute. Actually, Leslie's got a couple that tie into a new program that we just started, which is very exciting. We've got a balloons update. Doug is going to cover a couple of topics. This will probably be Doug's last party cast in this role, so we can all celebrate that. And then I'll have a couple of other news and communication items at the end and some reminders that go along with that. So that's a look at today's PartyCast. Let's jump into gratitude. I know that we had talked and shared with this group that we were working with a different vendor called ShiftSmart. And this is an opportunity for us kind of to look at labor on demand in some stores. So, I mean, the best way to describe it is a sort of Uber for people that comes to the store. And I don't want to oversimplify it or make it sound like it's easier than it is, because there is a lot that's gone into putting this together. But we've launched this program in a couple of district markets, and I'll let Leslie talk a little bit about that and shout out some folks who have helped us lead the way here. So, Leslie, take it away.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, and that was actually a really good explanation to kind of give a flavor of where it's headed. But as we've been setting up this pilot, there are definitely components to it that, while will be super helpful, hopefully, for our stores, and that's what we're going to learn through the pilot, have also required us to think differently and approach scheduling just a little bit differently, but enough that it's a little out of our comfort zone. And I wanted to take a moment to recognize Suzanne and her entire team in the Boston market, and Christy and her team in Minnesota, because the willingness to try anything and see what works, and the positive attitudes and the engagement has just been consistent and awesome, from both the DTLs as well as all of their STLs that have been participating in this pilot. They've made it really easy to learn and gain feedback. And so I just really wanted to take a second, because I think even thinking back to my days as an STL, I don't know that I would have been as flexible as these guys have been. So it's been really, really great. And then just really quick, wanted to throw out a reminder today, Monday, March 18th, is the day that the DTLs should be relaunching the LOD program with their STLs on the weekly call. Last week, we shared a DTL facilitator guide on Party Central to help guide those conversations. And so the next few weeks will be about the DTLs certifying all STLs. And then the month of April will be focused on the STLs certifying their store leadership teams. So looking forward to your feedback on everything from that facilitator guide to how the certification is going, and then ultimately get to see the impact of how the LOD program is on how we run our stores and the experience for our customers.
Awesome. All right, good stuff. And great call out to Suzanne and Christy. Thank you, guys. This is kind of a cool thing, and I think we're going to learn a lot from this. I think we'll change some things as we go, but this really could give us a lot of different flexibility to use in a lot of different places at a lot of different times of year. So I'm really excited to see what we can learn from this. So Leslie, thanks for that shout out, and a great reminder on the LOD certification process as well. Good stuff. All right, let's talk balloons. So Amanda, over to you.
Awesome, thanks. I just really wanted to go into a high-level overview of results last week. Our St. Pat's data wasn't ready this morning, but I will definitely share out to this team as soon as I have that. Last week, we sold over $8.3 million in balloons. So again, another positive week, really nice job there. We were up 3.4%. And while all three regions comped positive, I think it's extremely important that we just dig in really deep. We did have 10 districts that missed, so it still is almost a quarter of the districts. So I think as we dig in on our conference calls with our STLs to kind of understand the things and help control what we can control, we'll see some really good execution there coming out of the stores. And I think if we look at sales, foil, balloons, and accessories were both positive. Accessories was driven by tanks again. Weights, however, were down. And so I think it was minor, but it's definitely a shift in what we've seen over the last 6 or 7 months. And so my key takeaway there, and really important to me, would be to just kind of make sure the store teams are scanning the BME accurately. They're scanning the weight after they scan the QR code. Really great call out and thank you from Mike Wells. We are going to be adding some additional information on the reporting to kind of show if there's a gap there where that promo code is used and a balloon weight is not sold in the same sale. So really nice feedback there, Mike. And then foil was really driven by Juvie, Gen Birthday, and the Solid 18-inch shapes, and that is directly attributed to the BME program. I think that as we look at that program, we all want to know how it's doing, and we sold over 6,000 last week, and more than half of them were standard. But I think when you break down the numbers, this is extremely important to talk to the store teams, where we sold more individual units of standard bundles. However, we sold way more dollars when you combine the deluxe and premium. So I think sharing that information with the STLs, I know we all have one out there that's like, I can't sell a premium or a deluxe. That's too expensive for my customer. I think that we're showing that that is not the case, because almost half of them are the deluxe and premium versions. As we go through kind of OSAT, I think we're looking at the guarantee. We kind of touched on it a little bit a couple weeks ago, and we know it's going to be that we're on time every time. Last week, our OSAT was actually at 74%, which was up 9% from the same time last year. So I think that's extremely big win. Talk to the teams, thank them. I think that as we get our teams behind this, we understand that it's about changing the culture to change the score. I think that's an extremely important piece that they can get behind and start to drive up that number even more. From an operational reminder, I just wanted to drive home the importance of talking to your stores this week on adjusting out the St. Pat's damages. We heard from stores that there was some major inflation issues at the valve, and so we brought that to the vendor, and they are going to credit us. So the stores just need to do that 121 adjustment in order for us to get that credit. And then, this week we are going to provide a very high-level overview of April plans for the Balloon Readiness Month on Thursday's call to the STLs. And then you guys will have all received this week a general breakdown by date of what to expect that we are going to be doing in April for balloons. And so we're going to go in depth next week, just so that you guys are aware, on assessments and key points and what we are looking at for the entire month of April. With that, I'll hand it back over to you, Chris.
All right, good stuff. And love that more than 6,000 balloons made easy, or bouquets made easy, sold, and great challenge on really pushing the deluxe and premium bouquets and challenging kind of the mindset of my customers won't, or that won't sell here. Let's get it out there and try. Doesn't really hurt to try, and we're seeing a ton of success. Almost every case I've heard that in, they learn that they can sell at least more deluxe and premiums than they thought they could, and that just helps drive sales. We have customers who are happier, so let's just keep getting those out there and keep pushing that number up. It is a great way to drive incremental sales and margin in the stores, and that helps everybody in every way. So good stuff and great information, Amanda. Thank you. So let's shift over. All right, Doug, I know you've got a couple of really good topics here to dig into today. So take it away.
Yes, thank you, sir. So first thing I wanted to talk about was Battle Royale disposal. So we removed that from the floor many months ago due to some licensing issues. There you go, tongue twister for me. And this is unique from an execution standpoint. So stores received a list of boxes. These are full boxes. They will be disposed of by inventory control on Thursday of this week. They should dispose of those boxes in their entirety. They open them up, make sure they're zero, and then they toss them. The second aspect are partial boxes. And I just want to pause for a second and remind everybody why it's so important to execute some direction as it's written. Now that we have multiple SKUs in the same box, it gets a little bit more complex for the stores. So there are select stores that have a list of boxes that only the Battle Royale product within those boxes is disposed of. So the direction's pretty clear. They have to go find that box, they open it up, they pull out the Battle Royale product from it, validate it to zero, reseal the box, and put it back wherever they have it placed. But when we do things like this, I know sometimes there's a feeling that maybe we can maximize space and things of that nature with Genpack boxes, but it does make it a little bit harder from an execution standpoint now that we have disposal. So this is one of the few times that we have done a select SKU list from Packaway box. So please read the task in its entirety. Ask any questions if you have it, but clearly make sure your stores understand how to execute. Full boxes, toss them all. Partial boxes, open them up and remove the product identified in those boxes. And then if there is any loose product in your store, go ahead and get that taken care of. So again, that happens on Thursday. The second part or second topic I wanted to talk about, Chris, my favorite, storage. So, storage is, a multiple $1 million expense for the company. And there's a lot of attention on ensuring that we ratchet down that expense. In addition, there are some opportunities recently with some internal audit findings that, our packaway may not be as accurate as we hoped. And there might be a bit of a loose control over some of the units that we have. So first thing, the regional slides that you probably got today include the link to the updated report that's on Party Central. You can save that link. That link will remain the same throughout the entire year. So you can go in there, we publish that report, call it by the end of the second week of each month based on all the invoices coming in. The report gives you two things. It gives you units for that month. So if it publishes, the second week of March, it's going to be through the end of February. It's going to be how many units each store has. And units are defined as a container, a pod, an offsite, potentially even a shared space. There's very few stores that have that. So that's really, really important. I encourage everybody to open that report up and look at each individual store. It's so important to validate that you and the stores understand what units we have. We've had 19 DTLs in the company that have reached out with inquiries about storage, which is really good. If everything's perfect in your district, that's great. We still need to look at how we can potentially reduce the amount of units. But that's really important. So remember, the report shows you units for that previous month. The dollar amount is always going to be year to date. So you just know what you've spent year to date. It doesn't tie into the month because we want you to get a clear understanding of the cost year to date. There will likely be, and I shouldn't say likely, there will be a task at some point in the coming weeks that stores will have to validate what's in their offsites and so forth and sign off that I've gone to this offsite. We want to make sure that fixtures are disposed of and wasted space is eliminated. When you're looking at, $3.5 million in expense under this line, that's a significant possibility of a savings. We've saved a number of dollars so far this year already. With DTLs digging into the report and identifying some things that didn't feel right. And then when we dug into, we were able to get some credits from our vendors. I would tell you the most important thing, without a shadow of a doubt, is look at offsites. Look at offsites to make sure the charges and the units are accurate. Pods, we're relatively current on pods, but offsites can sometimes be that one area that sometimes slips through the cracks with changes and so forth. So take a peek at that. Understand that a task will be coming. It's really important that we reduce this expense for this year. Chris, I'll throw it back over to you.
Doug, that's great. And look, two of your favorite topics, I know, as kind of your last things, a packaway item, as well as a disposal, and storage in general. So congratulations on being able to talk about those things today. Some good reminders, and I think both of them really, the commonality is discipline, right? Being able to execute this type of disposal really helps the organization as well as the store in getting this stuff out. The discipline around looking at your storage detail, knowing where this product is, and having good accounting for it is really critical, especially when you think about not only the $3.5 million we've got tied just to storage expense, but the amount of product, which is I think it's about $100 million of product that is in packaway in some form or fashion, and a lot of that being in storage, that we have to have good accounting on that. So these are good examples of just digging into those details, making sure that we have visibility as well as accountability for where that product is and where these storage units are and what's in them. So some really good call outs. And look, we've had some examples where we've found some surprises. And I'm sure they're not limited. So we just want to make sure that we're all over that and that we've got a good accounting of where our inventory is, and mostly so that we can get it back in the stores appropriately to sell it. So, Doug, thanks for those updates. A couple of other news and communication items. So the Easter hours, which is 2 weeks from yesterday. We are closed on Easter, but that sign that goes in the window that says we are closed on Easter is available and should be posted as of today. We've also got some new promos that are starting tomorrow. So there's a Pride promo, 25% off, 3 for $12 chocolate meltums, if I can say that right. The buffet set and fuel, that kind of goes back to their normal promo prices, 3 for $15. Brava cups and the table covers go back to 4 for $5. So good things as for you guys to validate as you're in stores later on this week to make sure that those price changes and promos are executed correctly in all the stores. This week's item of the week is Peeps. Seems like something we can really get behind. So my challenge to everybody is I want you to see if you can sell out of Peeps. In fact, I think it's the item of the week this week and next week. So let's definitely make sure that we can sell out of Peeps. It should be easy to ask this question for every customer that's checking out. So again, something for you guys to look at as you're visiting in stores, talking to store team leaders this week, that we've got Peeps at the register and that we're asking every customer. We've got the Win the Season for Easter that releases on Wednesday. We've got our monthly business update on Thursday at 2:00. So that'll be fun to talk to everybody. For those stores that have Purim celebrations or communities that are celebrating Purim, that begins this coming Sunday at sundown. So big opportunity there from a costume, year-round theme shop and costume shop, making sure that those stores are full and ready, and probably a last-minute push of sales as we get into Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So it's a good reminder for those stores, and it's a great sales opportunity for us for next weekend. This week we do have the transition, so this really ties into getting everything grad all set. This is really an instance where, and I think I shared this note, is that we should have all grad packaway done. It should be out. We should be able to get to 0 boxes this week without any question. Let's get it out. Let's get it unpacked and really make it available so that we can sell that through. So we've committed to 0 boxes of packaway in these seasons. So, great time to check. I know there were still cases we've got for Dr. Seuss. So that Read Across America is really all month. So we really should be back at 0. And I'm sure some of these are driven by inventories, but outside of that, we should be able to get to 0. And certainly as we're wrapping up inventories now, there should be very few of these. So you've got Seuss, you've got Easter, last chance to really make sure as part of win the season, we've got all of our pack away out. And as we're making this transition, we should be able to get all grad out as well. So last couple of things, just as a few reminders. I did share the new updated alignment earlier today in the DTL chat, so you can see that there. Again, those new alignments are effective as of period 4, which begins on March 31st. In the new KPI performance report, that will begin next week. Should be on Tuesday as normal, like the trend report used to come out. We're still finalizing the last few things, so we'll have an update on what that looks like, but we should have that out to you guys next week. And then as Leslie mentioned earlier, we've got LOD certifications that start this week, really kicking off with your call and follow up with your store team leaders from the STL cast that came out last week. So a lot of stuff going on, but all good stuff that really helps us drive the business forward, really ties into our AOP and making sure that we're kind of on target coming out of the first quarter at the end of this month and setting up for Q2. So with that, guys, we'll wrap it up. Hope everybody has a great week, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Thanks so much.